Hey guys, Chris here, back from CNH Technology again. We've got another quick video here for you guys today. We got a tried and true Lawnboy Duraforce Silver Series right here. This is the one with the commercial duty engine on here specifically. They call it a commercial grade engine specifically. So you have the name and the tag on information right there for you. Silver Pro Series Duraforce engine, 6.5 horsepower. This is the I think I got pre-2004 or 5 model, because after I think about 4 or 5 they convert them over to the actual torque and CC specifications after 4. So this is the one of the earlier models, because they only made the Duraforce from about 90, I think about 97, 98 up to about 2004. So this is one of the later Duraforce machines made by good old Lawnboy right here for that. The reason I'm making this video here today was because we had to do a bit of work this guy's job here. His initial complaint was the engine was basically it was not idle down for him, and he had basically no control of the actual engine speed on the actual lever back here. So anytime he pushed the lever up and down on here, the engine basically stayed in like, you know, a fixed a fixed position. It was around 28 3,000 RPMs mainly right there, and it just would not rev up and it would not rev down, and all that stuff like that. So he kept on messing around with the handle up here and thinking it's a bad cable or something, but it was not a bad cable on here. And what we found out over here was the carb needed to be replaced for one thing, because unfortunately the actual shaft inside the actual throttle assembly down inside there, you have your throttle down inside the carb on here with your choke shaft on it, or I should say the choke shaft is in front of the actual throttle plate and back behind the carburetor. Sorry about that. And down inside here, he actually had the the throttle shaft, or the I keep on getting mixed up. The choke shaft on the actual front portion of the carb right down here, it was all elongated, and it almost looked like a big oval down there. So the actual carb had to be replaced for that specific reason, and we had to get all new intake gaskets, everything else in there for that. And after we did that, he was also having one other problem on the machine as well too. The lower crank seal was leaking down here as well too. Let me see if I can get a better shot for that. But we had to dismantle the engine down here and take it apart. And you got your crank seal way down behind your pulley right down here. You probably can't really see, but let me see if I can zoom in on here. But you can see your pulley system down there. But we had to replace the drive belt here for your transmission, and we also had to clean up the entire area where the actual pulley goes for your whole deck assembly down here as well too, because this thing is all oily up underneath there, because the crank seal, the lower crank seal, is totally leaking. And anytime you have a crank seal leaking like that, what it's doing is it's basically introducing air from the environment outside of the actual carburetor, because 2 strokes, you have to have the crank case totally sealed up, and it cannot be sucking any kind of air from outside or possibly blowing fuel air mix from the lower crank seal, because if there's gas leaking out from the lower crank seal, what that means is the engine is going to be running leaner than it was supposed to be running at, specifically from the factory. And because of that, your engine will be surging, and what it'll be doing, it'll basically be doing, it'll be mimicking carb issues right there specifically. So you might think you have a carb problem, and you take the carb off and put a new carb on there, and find out it's doing basically the same thing all over again. And I recommend replacing the carb. We had to replace the carb on this one primarily because the actual carb body was bad, because of the actual choke hole was elongated, and the other problem was the crank seal was leaking down here as well too, and had all kind of oil and debris all over the friggin' belt area down here. It was just like a total shit show, unfortunately. So we had to take all that apart. It took about, I think, about 3 hours to do the whole job right here. We took the engine off the machine, separated the lower crank, or I should say separated the deck housing from the actual lower portion of the actual engine down here, because you have what they call an adapter. This is like one big adapter plate down here. You got your deck, and you got your adapter plate for your engine, and you have your basic bottom portion of the engine right here as well too. So we had to replace, take all that apart, and then seal it all up again with some new RTV sealant with the actual deck assembly underneath here for your call muffler baffle assembly underneath it as well too. So we had to seal up the whole muffler system underneath here, right? This whole casing right here, because this thing has to have RTV sealant all along here and be sealed up properly. So we did all that. Crank's looking great now down there. No weepage, no gasoline residue at all on this thing at all. It's driving good for us over here as well too. So we'll go ahead and get this thing fired up here for you guys. It might take a few pulls because I dumped it over a little bit, so there's a little bit of gas coming out of the actual primer bulb up here. So let me clean the air filter off here. Put the air filter back down inside here. There we go. Get that back in there. Put the air cover back on here. He originally said he took this machine to a second shop before us. It was Dobosh service, and apparently they put money into it, and they supposedly fixed the machine, but he did not want to elaborate what they actually fixed on a job. And I don't know what they actually fixed, but he was claiming he was having problems with the machine before, and he said they fixed the throttle problem, but the guy didn't give me a specific detail of what actually was done or some kind of work order on the actual machine right there as well too. So we'll go ahead and fire it up here for you guys. You can see it running here, so bear with me here. I gotta put my camera down real quick, and I'll go ahead and fire it up. Okay. I gotta get a little rope over here. Okay, let's see this wrap around this thing here. Can't believe this guy got some stupid ass power cable right here. Still parking on it. Okay, there we go. I gotta get the thing wrapped up. Anytime you want to start these things up and make a quick video for them, just use some wrap tie in the back right here. So go ahead and fire it up here. Okay guys, got it running now. We'll go ahead and adjust the idle. There's low speed right there. It has just a teeny amount of hesitation or what's called a little bit like a looping idle right here. But overall, it's running fine. That's low speed. We'll go ahead and gun this thing up here for that. You can see that. There's high speed. Hit the fire button. Primer button's working great. We'll go ahead and drive it around the yard. Running great. It doesn't have any kind of weird throttle problems whenever you're running it through the grass. Okay, we'll go ahead and shut it down and turn on low speed. Bring it back down to low speed here. So there's low speed setting right there. It's idling okay. That's about as best as we can get it over here. The actual top crank seal is okay. So it's a teeny amount of a little bit of surging right there, but it's what I'd say acceptable if you want to call it that specifically. There's another front shot. Running good. And it looks good there for that, no problem. Let me go ahead and gun it up again here. Give it gunning up. There's max power. And the drive belt works great because the transmission is pulling perfectly fine. We'll demonstrate that. Driving good, no problem with that. Shut it down here. Get this damn rope off here first. Got it wrapped around a couple times. So the machine runs great. It's ready to go back for the customer, and we always recommend running the machine for the customer whenever they actually pick it up. And you should also demo test the machine for about 2 to 4 minutes at least. Take it up and down the hill. I got a relatively steep hill over here, so we can run it from down the bottom of the hill all the way up to the top up here. You can make about 3 or 4 passes, and once you do that, the machine should be nice and hot, and it should be running at the optimal, I'm going to call optimal setting right there for that specifically, because you want the engine to be running hot whenever the engine is being demonstrated in front of the customer, because if you give a customer the machine back when it's cold, it may have different characteristics when it's idling, and it's also having a full speed setting as well too. So just remember that. And if anybody has any questions here, as usual, feel free to leave me a message here, and I'll try to get back to you probably within 1 to 4 days, because I'm pretty busy right now, so it's going to be a bit till I get back to somebody with any kind of basic help on their machine right there for that. So here's another shot of the machine. There's a front shot, looks great, all cleaned up, no more damn oil mess on the actual deck and the whole belt system on here. So it's all cleaned up, ready to go back. That's what you look like, giving back to the customer with no kind of problems out there for that. So I'll see you guys, and have a nice day.